I am not going to tell you to get a mailing list because all these other videos have already done that. What I am going to do is break down the 5 different levels of email lists from beginner to expert. Hey guys, it's Deborah and welcome back to my channel where we talk about the business side of self-publishing. The only thing you need to start a mailing list is email addresses. By definition, that's it. An email list is just as simple as that. At the most basic level, you can start an email list by adding people to your address book and then individually sending them emails. Once you have more than say 3 to 5 emails, you're going to want to move to the next level, which is sending group emails. And you can do this for free with most email clients. All you have to do is go into your address book and create a group of email addresses. And then instead of selecting every single person on that list manually, you just select the group. Obviously, this is a huge time saver, but you do have to be aware of certain privacy issues. Make sure if you're sending group emails, you are putting the email addresses in the BCC field. That way, you're not going to be revealing everybody's private email addresses to everybody else on that email list. The downside of doing it this way is your emails may not make it to their inbox simply because their spam filter might flag it. You won't be able to customize that email, like with a hi insert name here, for example, because everybody is getting the same copy of that email. That's where mail merges come in. Most email clients won't be able to do this. You're going to need to get some third-party software. A mail merge basically does the same thing as a level 1 mailing list, except instead of you having to manually email people one by one, you've got a piece of software that automatically does it for you based on instructions in the form of a database and a template. The database includes all of the information that you have for each recipient, and at minimum, that needs to be an email address. Mail merges have been around for decades, and every single mailing list service provider out there basically operates like a fancy mail merge. There are free solutions out there as well as paid ones, so it's just going to come down to you and how comfortable you are with technology and with setting these things up, as well as your budget. The one thing to look out for at this level is the mail sending quota. All mail servers have some sort of limitation on the number of outgoing emails you can send for anti-spam compliance reasons. Common email providers like Gmail or your ISP will have quite a low outgoing mail quota. If you're getting to the point where you've got a couple of hundred people on your email list, you may need to look at getting your own dedicated email server, which will let you have a higher outgoing mail quota, or moving to a dedicated mailing list provider. You also want to start looking at automating some aspects of your email list. Specifically, you want to start automating the sign up, unsubscribe, and the email sending process. All mailing list service providers are going to have this out of the box, but if you're going to DIY your own solution, just be aware that while it's quite easy to use something like Google Forms to automate this sign up process, and to an extent you can also automate the sending process as well, it is going to be much harder for you to automate the unsubscribe process. And that potentially might be a big risk exposure for you, particularly with the EU's GDPR requirements, which are quite onerous. I'm not going to attempt to summarize GDPR here, except to say that GDPR is a massive compliance risk. You need to make sure you have people's explicit permission before you collect and do anything with their information. And that's why it's so important to have that unsubscribe process automated, because otherwise you run the risk of getting into some serious trouble. So for that reason, I recommend you get your list to at least level 3 and have some way of automating those unsubscribes before you launch your book. From here, it's going to get harder and harder to DIY your own solution simply because of how sophisticated the email marketing techniques are going to get, and also because you're going to have a much bigger list. So you're going to have a hard time scaling your processes if you're not going with a mailing service provider of some sort. These providers are going to have all sorts of database tools as well to help you maintain the quality of your email database, as well as a bunch of default templates so you don't have to spend loads and loads of time designing your own custom templates. The ability to look at the analytics on each email campaign you send to help you understand who is actually subscribed to your list, what they're opening, what they're clicking on, who's actually clicking through and buying your book. all sorts of things to help you understand your audience and your readers a lot better. At the very highest levels, mailing lists can get very, very sophisticated. And in fact, most email marketers don't simply have one mailing list. They actually have an entire system of different mailing lists. These guys will do a complete analysis of the entire customer life cycle / journey, from the point where the customer first encounters the brand, i.e. you as the author, to where they buy their first book for you, to where they become a reader or a customer for life, and they are just buying every single book that you are putting out. And that's where we want to be as self-published authors. We want to have a loyal and engaged fan base that buys everything we put out because we keep putting out books that they love. What these email marketers do is they identify every single step and decision that this person has to make. And at every single one of these individual steps and decisions along the way, they have emails that correspond to those touch points in order to try and push that person to the next step. The sales and marketing term for this is a funnel, because you have a lot of people coming in at the top, and then at all these individual touch points along the way, you're filtering out people until you're just left with customers coming out of the bottom who are buying your products. These funnels are not just sophisticated, they are completely automated, so that once a person goes into that funnel, they are automatically sent all of these emails according to how they behave and react. If you've ever gone to a website, put something in your cart and then abandoned it, and then gotten an email later on saying, here's a special discount coupon for you, that email is part of an automated email funnel, and it's entirely designed to catch those people who were so close to buying the product but didn't for whatever reason. And the holy grail of every single email marketer out there is to design this complete funnel over the entire customer life cycle, so that you have this whole automated system of emails that is just constantly running 24/7, converting prospects up here into paying customers for life. I do think that there's a danger of going way too far, and I'm going to use Ramit Sethi here as an example. He's a cool guy, so I hope he doesn't mind me doing this. I love Ramit's content, and I've been following him for years before his content blew up and he became massive. His content is so good that I always recommend him to people whenever we talk about personal finance or entrepreneurship and that sort of stuff. But his email list has gotten so systemized over the years that it's gotten to the point where if I do a search in my inbox for emails from Ramit, all I'm seeing is the constant same emails coming through every quarter or every 6 months, putting my email back in the top of that funnel, trying to move me down into buying these courses. It's not even that I mind being pitched his courses, because I have bought many of his courses before. The problem is my inbox feels like it's full of emails for him, where every single email is part of a funnel, instead of an email that is purely designed to connect with me as part of his audience. I'm not getting the same value as an email subscriber today as I was when I first subscribed to his newsletter years and years ago. If you're sitting here freaking out and going, oh my goodness, that is like so much to take in and it's all just so overwhelming and complicated, don't panic. Personally, I think if you never progress beyond level 4 or even level 3, that is totally fine as a self-published author, because what we should remember is we are storytellers first and marketers second. If you look at some very, very successful authors like Brandon Sanderson from traditional publishing or Will White from self-publishing, both of these guys have email newsletters, and if you look at them, they are both just at level 3. And despite not maxing out the potential of their email list, they are both still incredibly successful authors because they consistently and frequently release books that their readers love. And that's why I really like Brandon Sanderson's approach to his newsletter. He only does one every quarter, and while the content in those newsletters are not always exclusive, because he does do roundups of things that he's been posting on Twitter or on YouTube and other places for people who don't follow him on those platforms, he always makes sure to include some sort of personal element in the newsletter that he doesn't really share anywhere else. So if you subscribe to Brandon Sanderson's newsletter, you often get a first look at a draft chapter of one of his future books, or a short piece of fiction he's done as a writing exercise that he's not published anywhere else. What that does is it makes me feel like I've got a really personal connection to Brandon Sanderson, and that's a really nice thing, because I've moved beyond just being somebody who loves Brandon Sanderson's books. I've actually become a fan of Brandon Sanderson the person. Where are you guys at with your mailing list and what are you doing with them? I'd love to hear from you in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and remember to subscribe for more videos like this on the business side of publishing. See you guys in the comments.